Welcome to Flamingo Gardens. Let's go check it out. So, what are we doing? This is a species of macaw. Oh wow, look at those peacocks. My God. Big kid.
Where's that big kid? Big kid. Got these scratches. Look at kitty.
Cute. I like that. We can eat and see the flamingos at the same time. Let's see the animals. Wow. That was a legit wow. That is a big guy. That's one of the biggest ones I've ever seen. Ooh, a mole. Oh, look at the baby. Look at this guy. Cutie. Oh, how cute. I think it's a female. That was a Florida native bobcat. Oh. The bobcat's my favorite already. Oh. Their coffee is just as mediocre as their burger. But it's not bad. I was expecting that. Mediocre coffee. This is the American alligator. With one missing eye, I think? Or is that a closed eye? Oh no, it's a closed eye. Ooh, look at this little invader. We're now peering upon a green iguana. Holy crap, that's a fallen branch off of that. I thought that was just like a little scenic thing, but I think it literally got hurricaned off. Sheesh. Look at this guy. It's Paul Rubens. Hi, Paul. Dad, Paul Rubens gag continues. These are cornered peacocks. They went in with the flamingos, but the doorman won't let them through. And I believe the more wildly colored one is the male, and the more, but not completely dulled down colored ones are the female. So these two look like, maybe they like each other. But first, this is where the otters were supposed to be. But they had otter ideas.
Oh my god, look. Look.
Oh, cool. What is that?
I think that's a tomato hornworm. Yeah, that's a tomato hornworm.
It's so big.
That's a moth caterpillar.
Wow. You're not supposed to feed it.
I'm just touching it.
Let's see the pond swamp and the birds.
Look at them up.
It's strangely beautiful. Is that a wood stork?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, and there's, what's that one? The big one? There's the sandhill crane. That's a Florida native. I see another iguana. Can you see him? He's passing out of sight now. And mallards or something? Geese? Where are they? And those are geese. Oh, the sandhill coming out. Strutting the stuff. Yeah, I like this area. It's almost gross, but it's kind of beautiful. It looks like a gymnasium floor, the way the shadows are on it or something. I'm hoping like hell if those people like move on so they're not like constantly around. Turtle time. What's going on with this? Looks like its shell is shedding. What's that about? I don't know. This turtle shedding its shell. Yeah, it definitely looks like that's what's going on. Cute guys. The Florida softshell turtle. African spurred tortoise.
It's huge. There's this mate right over there. Let me see. Wow, right there. Let's see. Off the trails to Sandhill Crane.
I didn't see the swans. And there's that iguana sticking his head up over there. Wood stork up there living large.
There's the iguana. Look, the Sandhill Crane's right by us.
Yeah, he's so big.
There's the white ibis.
Did you see the swans over there? The rookery. I guess these are the otter ideas I have. Oh wow.
You know, they're like usually social creatures, so in the wild,
That's
when they
cute.
sleep, they fold
Like their little
so they don't drift away.
home there. Very cute. That was the one that we saw at that one place, right? Where we saw like a whole family of them. That was like the coolest nature experience ever. For me. In the wild, river otters eat crayfish. Dude, aren't those small? They're so cute. Oh my god! An American black bear!
Big one. Peacocks better be careful. They'll be killed by that bear. That is.
Yeah, for whatever reason, they don't seem too concerned. Boa constrictor time. Boa constrictors kill their prey by strangling it to death. Look at Boa. What's he doing? The ibis with his...
Doesn't look good. But I guess it's
He like doesn't have a nest or anything, does he? You going off the trail?
hundreds of them.
I didn't expect they would oink.
It's not because his teeth in it.
It's tram
My
tour
name is
time.
Judy, and I'm going to take you on a tour of the back 50 acres of Flamingo Gardens. That's not on your map.
We're not going to talk about Judy.
Couple things before we start out. Please remain seated at all times, including the children. Be very careful. It gets bumpy out there. We don't want anyone to fall off. We also need to keep our arms and legs inside the tram as we get close to some sharp branches and thorns. Now, I'll be pointing things out as on the passenger side or driver's side as we go along. So everybody ready to begin our journey? Yay! Here we go. On the passenger side, we have our Florida Panthers. Anne-Marie is 13 and Bubba is 17. They were human imprinted and couldn't be released into the wild, but they've been terrific ambassadors for the Panthers. Because in the 70s, we only had about 70 or 80 Panthers in the Everglades. Now we have 240. So conservation works. And we are delighted to announce that the panther population is increasing. The school children of Florida voted the panther as the Florida state mammal. Now we just passed on the passenger side our koi pond. Koi fish are handed down from generation to generation. And they also have recorded one is living over 200 years.
Yeah.
I don't think I have room. What? I don't think I have room.
How about this, the handicap?
That's one, and only 3 people can fit in there. Yeah, and then 3 would have to sit somewhere else. There's another tram in butterfly gardens. Now, we have a lot of them. We have more than one butterfly garden. We have all the plants to support a butterfly's life. We have the plants where they lay their eggs. We have the leaves the caterpillars eat to form the chrysalis. And over here, we have the golden shrimp plant. Now, this is a great plant to plant in your yard to attract butterflies to your front door. Now here's Nikki. She sells the best smoothies in town. Hi, Nikki. Hey. And next to her smoothie and popcorn stand, we have a path that goes over to the other side of the park where our aviary is. Now in our aviary, we take in birds and boxes that are hurt. If we can make them better, we release them into the wild. If not, we give them a permanent home in our aviary. And we have quite a collection back there. We also have birds of prey on display. Now on the driver's side, we have our famous flamingos, and behind them we have turtles, otters, we have bobcats, we have the alligators that have been here for years, Elvis and Priscilla, and a bear. Now all of our animals are sanctuary animals. They needed a home and we provided it for them. We're not a zoo. So make sure you take a walk on the wild side and check out our sanctuary animals later. Back on the passenger side, there's a path that goes over to that building. The windows on the top of that building, at the end of that building, are the bathrooms. And on that path, you'll see the bust of Floyd and Jane Ray. Floyd and Jane Ray moved here in the 20s from the state of Indiana. They sold real estate in Hollywood, Florida, until the hurricane of 1926 sent the real estate business south. So they came up here and bought 40 acres for under $5 an acre, and they started Flamingo Gardens. It was a huge success. Now I do want to point out this beautiful, beautiful peacock over here. We have about 60 peacock on the property. The boys have the blue neck, the girls have the green neck, and then these are the leucistic peacocks. We have 3 of them that are white, and they are just so gorgeous. They're all boys, and I call them all prince, because they just look like princes. They're beautiful. Now there's the Ray home, and the Ray home was built in the 30s. It is open for touring, and it's an historical site.
It's beautiful.
Now behind the Ray home is this tree, Mr. Ray planted as a seedling, and those things hanging down are not ropes to swing on. Those are roots of the tree. Now the roots of the tree, once they touch the ground, they dig in and they form a new trunk. So the tree kind of walks along as it grows.
They won't let you do it.
Large. They house flea markets and people live under them. Can you imagine how big that is?
Yeah.
Now we have our wedding gazebo here. In fact, we're having a wedding expo tonight to show how we do the weddings. And then here we have desert rose plants. I love this plant. It has beautiful red flowers and it's very drought resistant. In the back there is a Milky Way tree with orange seed pods on it, the Milky Way tree. And as we round the bend up here, we have an avocado tree laying down. Now this avocado tree was planted in the 30s and was 5 times this size. But the hurricanes have taken different pieces of it away. But did you know that the avocado was called the alligator pear back in the day? Because of the texture of its skin, the alligator pear.
It's an avocado
Now over
tree.
here on the driver's side, Mr. Ray planted these seeds from China. These are lychee nut trees, and they do very well here in the Florida climate. They love our climate. Lychee nut trees. Then we have some sour oranges, and then a little bit further up we have bananas, a banana plantation. Now bananas are plants, not trees, and once you take the bananas off the stalk, which is made from tightly woven leaves, the new stalk forms on the other side. So you take the bananas off, you get a new plant. Now there are bananas on this end one. You can see the heart with the little teeny baby bananas above it. And then down this row is another bunch of bananas. The heart with the hand and the bunch of bananas above it.
Oh, yeah, I see them.
Now it takes a year for bananas to ripen, so I prefer to just get mine at the supermarket.
You see them? You've probably seen that.
Back on the passenger side, we have these staghorn ferns hanging from the tree.
Yeah.
2 of them we've gotten back up. We still have 1 we have to put back up. They're beautiful staghorn ferns. Then here on the driver's side, we have a tree in the middle of this field that has a split trunk. And if you look up and down, you might see some fruit on that tree. That tree grows the largest fruit in the world. Those fruits get up to over 100 pounds. You can't put that in a grocery cart. That's the jackfruit tree from Bangladesh. It's a very sweet fruit and very hard to access because the outer shell is very hard and sticky. Now back on the passenger side, we have a little Caribbean garden with some more bananas. Here's a pomegranate plant in front of some sugar cane. Sugar cane's a huge cash crop here in Florida. But here's my favorite tree. Next to this three-trunk tree is a bushy tree. Inside that bushy tree are pods. Inside those pods are cocoa beans. That's why it's my favorite tree. That's a chocolate tree. A cacao tree, and I love chocolate. The bushy tree right there next to the three-trunk tree, that bushy.
Right,
yeah, that's a chocolate tree. In front of it is a papaya tree. Now that papaya tree was cut in half by the hurricane, but it's still growing beautifully, and it's going to give us a lot of fruit. And papaya is a good fruit to remember, because after you eat all the sugar cane and the chocolate, papaya settles your stomach. It has an enzyme that's good for tummy.
It's a high potassium for kidneys, though. Gotta be careful.
Now this used to be our pretend rainforest, but we lost the canopy in the whole park. This used to be one of the shadiest places in Florida, but we lost all our canopy from the hurricane. We still have a few large leaf plants here on the driver's side as we descend the hill. These are heliconias, and in the back there are elephant ears. And the reason we have these huge leaf plants here was to emphasize how important rainforests are, because those leaves give us oxygen to breathe. Rainforests give us 40% of the oxygen for the whole world. So we need to conserve and protect our rainforests.
That's true.
Back on the passenger side, we have these leaves with
That's
holes
true.
in them. Now that lets the water and the rain and the sun go to the lower leaves. It's also called the Monstero delicioso plant, which is really hard to pronounce. So we nicknamed it the Swiss cheese plant, because it has holes in the leaves like a piece of Swiss cheese. That's a lot easier to say the Monstero delicioso. Now here we have the Brazilian red cloak plant. This plant grows 17 feet tall. It would make such a great border for anyone's property. Just gorgeous, the Brazilian red cloak. Then here we have two red tree trunks with peeling bark. These are called gumbo limbo trees. Now gumbo limbo trees were used to carve carousel horses back in the day. Now we just call them the tourist tree because they have peeling bark just like our tourists have peeling skin after they've been in our Florida sun for a few days. Now 90 years ago, Mr. and Mrs. Ray bought this property, and 90 years ago she had this whole area set aside to never be touched, never be changed, nothing added, nothing taken away. I don't think she planned for the hurricane to take away as much as it did, but she wanted us to look around and see what the land looked like untouched for 90 years. This would have been a hamaka in the old days, an elevation above the water, and this is the elevation where the American natives would come and would live their whole lives on these hamakas. They'd use the trees to build canoes. This would be their whole lives on these hamakas. So she wanted us to see one original, untouched through the years. A legacy left to us by Mrs. Ray. Now we learned when building Florida, when you take water from one area, you have to put it somewhere else. So we're coming up to our mitigated man-made lake here on the driver's side. Beautiful area. When we have baby birds born in the aviary, we bring them back here and release them into the wild. We have a lot of turtles in these waters. We have soft shell and regular turtles. We have a lot of iguanas that swim this lake, climb the trees, and eat our shrubs also. Now, this lily here is called the bonnet lily because if an iguana or a turtle comes up from underneath and has it on its head, it looks like it's wearing a bonnet. So they named these bonnet lilies. We have a lot of ducks back here. We have teal ducks, mottled ducks. There's a few here. We have a mallard pair of ducks, and then we have Muscovy ducks. Muscovy ducks were brought here when they were building the railroads as a food source. The railroad workers left the Muscovy duck state, and they're all over Florida now. We'll see them. I'll bring them out in just a few minutes. Here are some ibis. Ibis are white birds. They're beautiful. And they're called weather birds because they're the last to leave before a hurricane, and they're the first to return. Sometimes they're called Florida chickens too because they're so plentiful. And then out there I can see an anhinga on the branch. Now that anhinga loves to eat fish. So he'll jump in the water and catch his fish. But he doesn't have oil in his wings. So he has to sit on the branch and let his wings dry before he can go back in the water and get some more fish. And there's a Muscovy duck with the red thing on their face called a wattle. The green feathers, the white feathers. They're little fat ducks. Here they are. Here's some more. Some Muscovy ducks. They're all over.
I'm trying to make sure you can.
Hi guys.
This actually cool.
I'll call you back.
Yeah.
Now, on the other side of this walkway, we now have bald cypress trees. They lose their leaves in the winter. And when you look down, you see these funny protrusions coming up from the ground called knees. Cypress knees, I think, give the tree support. Each tree sends out about 10 to 20 knees. And during the hurricanes, not one of these trees fell down, although we lost 134 trees on the property. So I think the knees give the tree more support in the sandy soil. But I'm not a scientist. That's just my take on things. Now up here we have a palm tree, and we have over 100 varieties. This one is the fan palm, and you can see the thorns on the branches. Now out in the wild, these thorns get really big, so the hogs, the panthers, the bears will not come near these plants because they don't want to get scratched by the thorns. The baby animals know that, so the fox and bunny will make their nest at the base of these trees and raise their young, knowing they're safe from the big animals who will not come near the thorns on the fan palm tree. Now back here is where Mr. Ray had 2,000 acres of citrus at one time. In fact, he helped pay Flamingo Road. He paid the half, and commissioners paid the half, so that he could get his citrus to Fort Lauderdale and sell it. He was also instrumental in building the Port of Everglades, so he could ship his citrus all over the world. He was an amazing businessman. Now, due to the canker virus, and especially the greening of citrus, we no longer have citrus back here. We grow mango. Now, mango is the king of fruits in India. It's very sacred in India. If you go to someone's house for dinner, you take a basket of mangoes to show your love and appreciation. The women weave the leaves of the mango plant and put it on the door of newlyweds to bring them prosperity and fertility. And they say you can make a wish on a mango tree. So as we round a bend, there's a lot of trees here. Make a wish and maybe it will come true.
Tell the camera what prosperity means.
What?
What's prosperity mean?
It just means like doing well.
Now that pink tree blossoming there is called the silk floss tree. It's hard to see it, or you'll probably just get a glimpse of it. The silk floss tree has been blooming since a week after the hurricane. Just a beautiful show of nature saying, the hurricane didn't hurt us, we're back. And all of our mango trees are finally standing up. They haven't been falling down again lately. Now back on the passenger side across the field there, we have a stand of bamboo. Now I always thought bamboo was a tree, but actually it's a grass. And it's one of the fastest growing grasses in the world. Then here we have a Gianna chestnut tree. It was blown in half by the hurricane, but look, it's blooming already. Look at those beautiful blossoms on this Gianna chestnut tree. Just love that tree. Those blossoms are so pretty. And here we have a garden. And this garden is important because 70% of the food you eat needs pollination to be produced. So we want to keep our pollinators, like the dragonflies, the butterflies, and the moths, very happy. And we also have butterflies. We grow milkweed to attract them, monarch butterflies. You should see them. I've seen a few. We have monarch butterflies back here that attract. We grow milkweed to attract them. See, they're all on top of these plants up here. Monarch butterflies, beautiful. Then here we have the milkweed that the monarch butterflies eat. See how it's all trimmed off? The butterflies have been busy eating all the milkweed. Back on the driver's side, we have a walkway made from recycled tires. Now these tires were donated by Broward County and are very soft to walk on. And in this area is all plants and trees native to Florida. No invasive species in here. And as we round the bend up here on the passenger side, we're going to pass two trees that have funny stuff growing on their trunk. They actually look like beards, so they're nicknamed Old Man Palms. And they're native to Cuba. Two Old Man Palms by the driver's door, native to Cuba.
Oh yeah.
Now we're in what I call the Jurassic area of the park, because surrounding you are cycads. Cycads are a form of plant that dates back millions of years. You find cycads on the desert, in the Sahara, on the tundra, and when you dig up the bones of dinosaurs, you dig up the fossils of these plants. So we know that these cycads surrounding us right now were dinosaur food. It's a little after lunch. It's a good thing dinosaurs are extinct or we might be in some trouble. Yep. Now back on the passenger side, we have another body of water, and on top of that is this green film. That's actually a plant. It's called duckweed, one of the smallest plants in the world and very nutritious for our birds and our fish to eat. And very nutritious for you to eat too if you're ever stuck in the Everglades. I've heard it tastes like fishy eggs.
Oh,
Now, it gets really bumpy down here. It's a little bit like a roller coaster ride. So hold on to your stuff and each other, but enjoy the ride. There's a croton here on the driver's side. Pink, yellow, and green. I just love that color. Crotons are very sturdy plants, very colorful, and found all over the Jamaicas and do very well here in Florida.
Bless you.
As we round the bend, we're coming up to a sapodilla tree. It's already starting to grow fruit only 6 weeks after the hurricane. The fruit tastes like pears with brown sugar. And the trunk of that plant's what is fascinating, because if you cut that trunk with a knife, this white latex-like stuff comes out called chicle, and they use it to make chewing gum. So we nicknamed that the chewing gum tree. Now, if oxygen masks fall from the top of the tram, please don't be alarmed, because we're climbing a mountain. In Florida, this is what we call a mountain. On the driver's side, may I introduce you to Mount Flamingo, third highest elevation in all of Broward County. Now, if you look on the other side, that's low land, and that used to be the Everglades. Then we had a governor, Alexander Bonaparte Broward, who said, let's drain the Everglades so that we can grow crops and build homes. And that's how Florida came to be what it is today. But this has always been above ground. This is part of a series of elevations called Long Key. In fact, there's a Long Key Nature Center across the street where you can learn more about these elevations. Some of these trees are over 100 years old. Now, as we descend the mountain on the passenger side, we have this grayish-green plant. It's called agave, but I call it the grown-up plant. Because from agave, we get tequila. Then over here on the driver's side, we have carambola or star fruit. Beautiful star fruit. Very sweet when ripe. And when you cut it, it's in the perfect shape of a star. In the back there, we have the sable palm tree, the state palm tree of Florida. Inside that tree are the hearts of palms some people eat on salads here in Florida. Back on the passenger side, we have a calabash tree. And you can see the gourds at the bottom. This tree grows gourds that are used to make maracas and other types of souvenirs. When we cross over the path, we're going to see a Myers lemon tree on the passenger side, filled with lemons. Myers lemons are a cross between a lemon and an orange. Then in the back there are petticoat palms. I love the way their leaves are pleated. And now we're coming up to a black cage on the passenger side. This black cage, inside it lives our big black bear, 400 pounds of furry love, Josh the bear. He needed a retirement home, so we built him this beautiful enclosure. He has a cave in there, he has a pond, and he even has his own Facebook page, Josh the bear, and he loves it when he gets a like on Facebook. Now further on down here, we're going to have there's a peacock on the branch, and then we have the angel trumpet tree. I just love those flowers that hang from the angel trumpet tree. Right here next to the passenger door right now, the angel trumpet tree. Then we have a tree that fell down during the hurricane, and it doesn't know it fell down. It's laying on its side, and it's blooming. It's another silk cross tree. It just decided, well, I'm going to bloom where I am. So nature's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Here on the lawn, we have southern live oak trees. And on the trees is resurrection fern. It's brown now, but when it rains for a couple days, that fern will turn beautiful green.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, feel free to come up and ask. We'll answer them to the best of our ability. We hope that you love Flamingo Gardens as much as we do.
That house. I think that was the house that was owned by...
Enjoy the rest of your afternoon here.
Yeah, or we could do the ride again. Thank you. It was very good.
And please remain seated till I come to a complete stop.
Can we look at the photos first? Because they're right here.
Okay. Okay.
You guys didn't miss much.
No.
Yay! I finally get to see Florida Panthers. If they're out, they're out. Where are they? Do I see something? I know.
He's in the trees. I don't know if they go on the hillside.
I was worried about that.
About what?
About whether we would actually see them. They're nocturnal, right? Yay, we found a Florida Panther.
I see it. I have a very good shot of it.
Is that Larry Bird? Oh my god, this is a huge tree. Do not look up with your mouth open is a rule. That's definitely my favorite rule. It's the only one I read, but I know it's my favorite rule. But there's some good rules, but that's definitely the best. Do not shout. Okay. So on the trolley tram tour, we saw the peacock that the tour guide referred to as a leucitic peacock. And I was interested because I thought it was an albino peacock, but I looked it up. Leucism is a condition in which there is a partial loss of pigmentation in an animal resulting in a white, pale, or patchy coloration of the skin, hair, feathers, scales, or cuticles, but not the eyes, unlike albinism. Albinism? Anyway, whatever. It is caused by a reduction of multiple types of pigment, not just melanin. Let's see the bird aviary! Red rat snake. I can't even, oh, I see. I guess they like the dark or something. It's really dim in here. I see this snake. I don't know about the red rat snake.
It's right there. Where are the seeds? Yeah, that's right. There's a little black line thing I'm zooming into. And this is the yellow rat snake, which is obviously much more. It's the yellow rat.
Oh, cute. Now I see him. So he's like between the wall and the water. Now, it is time. I called it. Is that a gopher tortoise? Oh, okay, it's a box tortoise, or?
It's a tortoise from a different continent.
It's a tortoise of a different continent. It looks like he's got like a castle on his back or something. Lots of wood storage. What are these? Yeah, this is really cool. We don't belong here. Gulls and crows, everybody's in here. Cute.
Walking with the birds.
Walking with the birds. Lots of wood storks.
Look at those cormorants.
This is just strange. It's like surreal. The pelicans are just like right there. Easy fella. Oh, and hingos, right?
See, that's a double-crested cormorant.
Cormorant?
Yes.
That's a double-crested cormorant. I always want to say croissant. And then I want to say croissant. Over the roseate spoonbills, that's not used to be. Like,
I can't see any of them.
They're everywhere.
Oh my
There's like
god,
a
there they
dozen
are.
of them. I was wondering, like, I thought that was your favorite bird.
I'm scared of these guys. They're going
Don't worry
beak.
about them. Just walk past them. All right.
Oh, that guy's hurt. I see his wing. Oh my god, poor guy.
I think he has gas.
Well, his wing's broken, I can see.
Look at these guys. Can you believe how close we are? Oh, cool. So he's like, they're not normally bald on the head, am I right?
No, they're raw.
They are? Oh, no kidding. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But you're so cute. Can you believe the bald head? I never would have even imagined.
There's
It's
all.
like, where's the food?
We are so close.
It's really cool, but their pink doesn't seem as vibrant as when we see them in the wild, don't you think?
Does this want me to touch it? I don't think it wants to be touched.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the color?
I have to get a piece of food before they'll touch it.
You're absolutely right about the aviary. And so this is totally enclosed, and look at this guy up here. Like, damn it. I went in.
Wood stork.
I went in with my wood stork friend. So all of these guys have some kind of injury?
Hi, Ducky.
These crows are not injured crows, right?
Oh, sorry. Aw, it can't walk. Aw, I'm sorry. That's fine. I'll leave you alone.
The saddest aviary. These poor guys hobbling around. Remember that one time? What was that bird that your mom, like we were biking and your mom like was like holding that one bird? Remember
It's a
that?
candle egret.
That was a cute little moment.
And you would call the hospital or something.
Yeah.
I
And
remember.
there's a wood stork, or not the wood stork, the snowy egret.
Yeah.
I saw one of those when I was driving over here somewhere. I don't even know where it was, but I remember it flew. Oh yeah, it flew across the interstate. It's super close to my car.
Try to touch it.
Wow, how pretty. Don't like scare them. Too
I'm
much.
not trying to. Wow, it's beautiful. This is nuts. We're going to go back around. We're going to get some food and film feeding.
Yeah, I only have 1/4, but I'm fine with spending it on
Half
bird
and
food.
half. I probably have a lot more in my bag.
You have quarters?
Probably.
Okay.
I hope we
whatever,
do.
Like, you can have my quarter. I don't really care to feed the birds.
We do half and half. I do want to get one. It's enough. Oh, I like these duckies.
Oh, they're so cute.
This one's coming up.
They're so cute.
Sit down.
They're so cute. Hello, buddy.
It's not going to peck my big on fat food, is it?
I'm going to take them all home. These are my favorite ducks, though. I think they're so pretty. We saw them on the tram tour. I forgot what she said they're called, but I love their coloring. Oh, here, look. If it's even a thing. Yeah.
That's a big great egret back there.
Yeah. And then there's the, what's that called? A livestock or, what do you call that?
Mango,
No, this bird that's closer to us.
snowy egret.
No, that's not a snowy. Look, he's got like the brown coloring. He's the,
That's probably an immature one.
maybe. Yeah,
And it might be.
there's this other kind of bird that I've heard you talk about. It's not livestock. It's like cow. It makes me think of
Cattle egret.
Cattle egret. Yeah, that's what I thought that was.
White ibis.
Get out of here, crow. This aviary's gonna make me cry. All these injured birds. I'm glad they have like a safe place to go to now.
Wonder how they survived a hurricane.
Very cute. Really, really cute. Not look up and open your mouth.
Or a turtle.
Cute. Love this aviary. Here's another one. Some kind of tortoise, I think.
That might be a gopher.
He needs theme music. What do I say? That's not a very good. He needs a better theme song than that. Something
Oh
along
my
those
God.
lines.
Is it
Ooh, yeah. What's he?
a limpkin?
Limpkin. Awesome. Good looking limpkin.
That's a them birds on
This
there.
guy is about to go into his burrow.
That's a gopher, yeah.
That's a gopher tortoise. Looks like he's thinking about it. Hasn't quite decided. Cute.
That's a,
Exceptionally
Look.
cute.
there's the right pelican.
Wow. And I'm sorry, but they just look slightly larger than the, what is it, brown pelican, the other one?
Mm-hmm.
I'm totally right? They're a larger bird. Oh, they're so gorgeous. Whoa, look, whoa.
What?
You should have seen what he was just doing.
What?
That. He just did that. This guy, watch him for a little bit. I don't know what's going on. Oh, he stopped. He like pulled his neck back and like his esophagus like protruded from his mouth or something. It was nuts.
They're in love.
They're in love. Aw, cute. So cute. Let's buy food to feed the birds. Bird is the word. Bird is the word. The bird is the word. The bird is. Let's look for some birds to feed.
Oh, boy. Be careful with this branch, it's gonna make your head bang. This is moving, but.
Nothing's gonna
Let's
make
find
my
the
head
spoonbill. Oh, poor woodstock. Oh, here, feed this spoonbill. It looks hungry.
Oh. These guys.
Well, see it's spoonbill during Adventurous Kid Duane's book.
Hello, guy. Hello, guy. Poor fella. Need some more? Look at that spoonbill on you. Look at that old spoonbill, buddy. There you go. You all done with that? I don't like those ones. They give me the good ones. Okay.
Let's do a woodstock. I dare you do a woodstock. Those giant gray beaks.
Close enough. They're all like, they're so funny. But, oh, look, that one's grooming the other one.
The crows. Try the seagull.
Seagulls are nasty.
Well, try those over there.
I only want to feed the birds I like.
But they double cluster Kermit.
Yeah, I like him and I like this brown one.
Stop, Kermit.
Hey, Limpy, you want some food? You're cute with your little... No? Not so much? Come on. Oh, okay. He wants me to put it down, so I will oblige. Oh, Jesus. Crazy duck. You gonna get me? You gonna get me? See, I'm scared of you. There you go. Where'd that Cora Mon? How do I say it?
Double clustered corn.
Coromant?
They went over there.
Oh, jeez. Alright, plan B.
Wood stork.
Wood stork.
Do it.
He's like Dracula.
Do it. It's the largest bird in here. Do it.
Wood storks. Hey.
You have to come. You have to make them
Well,
come.
I'm trying to lure him.
He's a giant. You can't go in there, obviously. You get those guys, and you gotta put your hand out and let them come close.
Oh no, I know the seagulls.
Put like pelican over there. Try to do the pelican.
No way.
Why?
Because their mouths are gigantic. Don't they want fish or something?
Let me. Who doesn't chop my? Did Adventurous Kids direct their largest hand off? You better not chop my hand off of this thing. The limp game, yes. Shh. Food. Shh. Food. Alright, Duane, here's your chance.
For what?
Adventurous Kid Duane is going to try to feed these brown pelicans.
I'm scared of their mouths, honestly, so
Yes.
yeah, I'll try throwing some towards them. They're like, fish please. What about this guy?
Try the ibis, though.
Is he an ibis?
Yes.
Hey, ibis. Hey, oh, don't.
Oh,
You're scared of me.
try that ibis. So what?
Ibis?
No,
Oh, you got it. There you go. You be the brave guy. I'm not big into
okay, you have to.
strange
you have
animals
to.
touching.
You're the Adventurous Kid talent. You have to.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, they're kind of gentle. Okay, I'm not scared anymore.
What about
Gentle guy.
the tortoises?
Jeez, you're a mess, dude. You're cute. Alright,
Try the crow.
the crow? No.
Why?
Because they're like air rats.
What's an air rat?
They're just like crows before bros. No way. What is this guy? Is he an ibis too? The black ibis?
Do it. Feed with me.
Oh, he's too scared. I feel bad here. You have that one, and you have that one. Good boy.
Oh, let's go see them. Try the crows on the fence.
I am not letting them eat out of my hands.
Why?
Because I just don't like I don't like the crows and I don't like the seagulls.
Look. Oh, we pushed too quick.
It's like letting a rat eat out of my hand.
Oh, this is my chance.
And there's yet another tortoise. Whoa, his shell's all jacked up. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
They're stupid antibiotics. There you go. Do you see this? He looks like Snoke from Star Wars. This tortoise over here.
That's why it's in here. Why don't the storks come close?
I don't think they're, like, if the pelicans just want fish. I don't think the pelicans are interested in pellets.
You're the
And probably the wood storks as well.
Let's go back to the spoonbill.
They're so big.
This ducky.
I will feed ducks all day. I got no problem with feeding the ducks. But they get kind of skittish. He might be too scared of me getting a bus. You want some?
It's okay. It's okay.
You getting it?
Wait, feed him some more.
Over here, silly. Look. Oh, you silly. Alright, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Am I lined up in the shot?
Yes.
This is so cute. Yeah, I only feed birds that have charisma.
Yes.
See, 50 cents of food is a lot. Birds poop every 15 minutes.
Got a little bit more before the thing. Here's stuff. This, let me try the spoon bill again. It's so cute. Here. Here, give me half. Here's your other half. This guy. Is this guy interested? Oh my god.
Oh, here. Hungry. I can't believe we're hand feeding spoon bills.
Your turn.
Okay.
Adventurous.
I got no problem feeding. I don't even like have a problem with the seagulls and the crows eating out of my hand. I just don't like the birds. They're so cute. They're so cute. Oh, that beak is a little unwieldy for this type of food.
Try this last one here.
Okay.
These are all three speak.
Oh, that poor guy. I want him to get one.
Oh, that was that. We'll go to the end of Romance of Woodstock, of course.
You are greedy. That's what you are. We're almost out of food. Is that cool?
Give him the last. My camera's literally out of his beak.
Come on, guys.
This,
Oh, they're so cute.
this guy is sick.
Aw, goodbye, bird aviary. My coffee stain's drying. Oh my god, a baby Jesus lizard. Walk on water. Like even when he's on land, he's walking like I've seen the videos. Like his legs stretch out. Cute. Let's watch the wildlife encounter show.
Life Encounter. My name is Bob. A variety of folks have never been out here before. I'll tell you a little bit about us. Here inside of our 60-acre botanical garden, where we are proud home to the largest collection of champion trees in the entire state of Florida. If you're not familiar with what a champion tree is, it's a certified title designated to it by the American Forestry Association as being the largest specimen of its kind found anywhere in the entire continental United States. We used to have 21. A little thing called Irma came roaring through last month, took out one of them. The tallest tree in Broward County, spanning 143 feet. But we're also home to the Everglades Wildlife Sanctuary. We're not a zoo. Big difference. See, the zoos, the aquariums, other animal theme parks, tend to deal with perfectly healthy animals that are from all over the world, but in captivity for all sorts of different reasons. Here, our mission every day in the animal care department is to try to rescue, rehabilitate, and then hopefully release all wounded native Florida wildlife. If we're unable to successfully rehabilitate the animal from its injuries so that it's 100% healed and healthy, but the injuries no longer present a life-threatening matter yet, they'll never manage on their own because of them. Rather than euthanize them, we'll give them a second chance on life by offering natural settings, surroundings, habitats, and providing them with a diet to the best of our ability that they normally would encounter. And then whenever we have the opportunity, we try to pair them up, male and female of the same species. And in the event they are successful at reproduction, we will allow the injured parents to raise their healthy offspring to maturity with minimal interference from our department. And when that event takes place, they get set free right here on premise. So they're serving as ambassadors for their own kind, educating people from around the world on Florida's unique wildlife heritage, as well as procreating their species while they stay. They've been doing a rather remarkable job. Over the past several years, we've been fortunate to have successfully raised and released 30 red-tailed hawks, 25 great horned owls, 60 barn owls, and 12 eastern screech owls. That's just a handful of some of the more consistent but recent breeding birds of prey. We also have the largest collection of its type in Florida of permanently injured North American wading birds, shorebirds, and waterfowl. Located right over here inside of our 26,000 square foot free flight walk-through aviary. The aviary provides sanctuary to 43 species of those wounded birds, some which are threatened and a few that are endangered. But nowhere else in one day are you going to see that much diversity other than inside of our aviary. And the aviary is responsible for producing nearly 100 baby birds every year. A lot of the egrets, ibis, herons, and ducks that you may see flying freely throughout our garden, some of those are certainly previous hatches from our aviary. Of course, they're free to come and go as they choose. But a lot of them remain here throughout their lives because they know where the goods are. We still offer them food on a regular basis. That's where it gets quite expensive. Because you can't just open up a can or a bag like you would feed a pet or another type of domestic animal. To feed wildlife, let alone injured wildlife, you have to offer them diets that they're instinctively aware of, but can also manage. For instance, our birds of prey, with 25 different species of raptors out here that are no longer able to hunt. For us to accommodate all of their various dietary needs, we go through 40,000 frozen rats, chicks, quail, and mice a year. The aviary, they're primarily fish eaters. Depending upon the season, the aviary will get anywhere from 60 to 90 pounds of fish daily. They're not the only daily fish eaters. We now have 8 North American river otters. We lead the world in breeding captive river otters. 38 have been born here. That's including the 3 newest arrivals that were born last year. Those 3 river pups are no longer pups. They're nearly the size of their parents now. And they're coming of age, and it's breeding season. So fair warning to any of you folks venturing towards the otters this afternoon or notice any extracurricular activities such as barking, whining, squealing, bloody noses, and black eyes. We are well aware of it. That's just the way the otters roll this time of the year. They're eating 4 pounds of fish per otter per day. And then we have our 3 main carnivores to take care of. Starting with the largest, our American alligators. One of them nearly 12 feet long, followed by 2 Florida panthers and 2 Florida bobcats. All 3 of those carnivores require large portions of raw red meat on a regular basis. And the reason I'm telling you all these numbers, we're a non-profit wildlife sanctuary. This means we don't receive any government aid or funding whatsoever. The way our license is set up is that we're dependent and reliant upon the generosity of the general public, the surrounding community, sometimes small businesses, and very rarely major companies and corporations to provide us with financial support, especially for those specialty diets. Well, that's been slim to nothing over the last few years. This is why we provided a little homemade food fund box right over here, just in case any of you folks in the audience care to make a contribution at the end of the presentation to help us support our injured wildlife. It would be much needed and appreciated. Now we have 24 animals that are part of the Wildlife Encounter program. They're not part of the breed and release program. They've all suffered injuries and disabilities like the rest of the animals in our sanctuary, but they have their own separate enclosures behind the scenes. They get taken care of individually on a nightly basis because of their superstar status. These animals, for one reason or another, over time, have all developed either a demeanor, a disposition, a temperament, a tolerance, most importantly, a trust that makes them suitable for this up-close and personal encounter. Now, there's no tricks, there's no performing, zero exploitation. It's simply case histories and natural histories. But out of the 24 members of the Wildlife Encounter program, each day will feature 3 of them, keeping the same 3 all day long, using a different 3 the following day, so all 24 come out each week. This is the part of the program where we encourage flash photography, questions and answers, and audience interaction. So let's get started.
Alright, so this is Travis, our eastern screech owl. Now the eastern screech owl is the smallest true owl in Florida. The largest is on exhibit behind us, which is the great horned owl. And the smallest owl in the world is the elf owl. So you'll have to Google them later. But for now, if we take a look at his ear tufts, do we think they're ears? You're right, they're just used for camouflage purposes. Owls have asymmetrical hearing, which means one ear is going to be up, one ear is going to be a bit lower, and this helps them accurately pinpoint their prey. Owls also have a facial disc, which is a bunch of concave facial feathers that direct sound waves into their ears. So these guys have excellent hearing. Next, let's take a look at his eye color. The eastern screech owl has light greenish eyes, indicating that they hunt primarily at dusk and dawn. Where if you go and see the barn owl, they have black eyes, indicating that they're purely nocturnal. Owl feathers are long and serrated, much like a comb, which gives them their silent flight, and if you were to touch an owl, they feel much like velvet. The owls are best known for their strength, and their strength lies within their talons. Owls are the only bird of prey with 2 talons in the front and 2 talons in the back, giving them a very even grip. The strongest owl, which is the great horned owl, can actually squeeze 760 pounds of pressure onto their prey, where on average as humans we can only squeeze about 60. So these guys are incredibly strong, and that's why it is essential for me to wear this glove. He could easily penetrate my skin, or worse. Now in the wild, they're mostly going to eat rodents and large insects. Does anyone want to guess the eastern screech owl's favorite little bug snack? It'll make you happy. Roaches, so we definitely want these guys around, and we can even build them nesting boxes. Now owls are so crucial to the Everglades ecosystem because they do control that rodent population. A single owl can eat up to 1,500 rodents a year, and an owl family can eat up to 25 a night. Now I bet you guys have heard that owls can turn their head 360 degrees. Do we think that's true?
No.
It's actually not true, but they can turn their head 270 degrees, and this is because they have extra vertebrae in their neck. They have 14 as opposed to 7. Now his lifespan in the wild would be about 15 years, but in captivity it can actually double. Our eastern screech owl comes in 3 different color morphs, red, brown, and gray. He has a gray morph, and this is just going to help him blend in with his natural environment. Now, a question I always get for Travis is if he is fully grown. He is fully grown, and female bird of prey are always going to be a bit larger than the males because they have to do all the hard work just like in real life, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Is this a male or a female here?
He's a male.
Oh, okay.
Any other questions?
Can I pet him?
Anything we're curious about? All right, say goodbye to Travis.
Bye, Travis.
Say bye, Travis.
you, Megan. Our next superstar is a very fortunate female. Unfortunately, though, she was rescued during a point in her life when she was still highly dependent upon her mother for her survival. When her mother was killed by a car, she was found along the side of the road clinging to the dead body by one of our former colleagues who rescued the baby orphan. She brought it home, and then something truly remarkable took place. She decided to hand it over to her 3-year-old son to become the surrogate mom. Well, he did a wonderful job. She's all grown up now, and he gave her the name Heather. Heather comes out as a regular part of our presentations these days for her exercise and enrichment routine. And while she's out here exploring the floor of our Everglades amphitheater, y'all are going to get to know more than you ever imagined about probably the most misunderstood and unfortunately more often than not seen dead animal in all the land. Heather is a 2.5-year-old full-grown adult female Virginia opossum. Now the opossums of North America often get a bad reputation. And it's up to Heather and I to clear that up by the time her presentation is concluded. You see, a lot of folks seem to mistake the opossum as being something that they're not even remotely related to. Anybody care to take a guess? A rat. That is the most mistake people make, so don't anything all feel bad. So I'll just cut to the chase. First of all, there isn't anything on the North American continent related to Heather. She's one of a kind. Fact of the matter is, the closest kinfolk are found all the way down on the giant island continent of Australia. And I'm referring to the very primitive group of mammals that are called marsupials. Well, technically, the marsupials are the non-placental mammals, the pouched mammals. They are the dominant mammal in the land down under. You'll have the kangaroos, koalas, possums, sugar gliders, Tasmanian devils, wallabies, and wombats. Now here, in North, Central, and South America, the sole representative of the marsupials is indeed the Virginia opossum. Now, the marsupials have a very primitive method of reproduction, especially the opossums. Females are often pregnant at the age of 6 months, with a gestation that takes 13 days, giving birth to very tiny, underdeveloped babies that are either Jills or Joeys, depending on the gender. When they're born, they're no bigger than your thumbnail. They're born blind, without fur, and their legs, limbs, and tails merely simple little hooks. But they're not helpless. Right after birth, they'll immediately maneuver themselves up the mother's abdomen into a flap of skin that forms the pouch-like structure called a marsupium. Inside the marsupium are 13 milk glands. But it's a race for life and death, folks. Females deliver up to 20 offspring at one time. First ones in are the fastest to find food and feed. The rest will drop off and perish. But the ones that do make it in will remain firmly attached for the next 3 months as they undergo explosive growth and development, taking just 3 months to become 5 inches long and fully formed. At this point, they'll climb out of the marsupium, then onto the mother's back. This begins the journey towards maturity. They'll travel around piggyback for 1 more month, watching every move she makes on how to find food. Then, after a month of that ride, they're off and ready to start their own families. Mature breeding adults at 6 months of age. If y'all ever come across a little 7-inch long opossum wandering around by itself, that's not a lost Jill or Joey. That's a sub-adult out looking for its first mate. The opossum is considered a solitary nocturnal scavenging forager, coming out by themselves at night in search for whatever doesn't move too fast to eat. Now, you can't move very quickly when you have an opposable thumb on every foot. That makes them incredible climbers, but their run is simply a waddle. That's due to the tail. That long, muscular tail is covered with scales that provides it traction. It's prehensile. They can use it to wrap around branches, carry their offspring and nesting materials. However, they do not sleep by hanging from it. Now, what gets the opossum such a bad reputation is the amount of teeth they possess. 50 of them. Well, that's more teeth in their mouth than any terrestrial mammal on the planet. And with all those teeth, they're quite capable of chewing up snails, scorpions, roaches, spiders, centipedes, millipedes, toxic toads, venomous snakes, bird eggs, decaying vegetation, and donated grapes. The diet of the opossum is what most mammals avoid. With 50 teeth, a lot of folk are under the impression they're aggressive and dangerous. Well, I'm fairly certain I've convinced each and every one of y'all that's simply not the case. You see, unfortunately for the opossums, they have the smallest brain of any mammal on the face of the earth, making them highly incapable of defending, fighting, or eluding danger. Now, they have developed some very effective instinctive reflexes that can get them out of jeopardy. When approached, they freeze in fear with their mouths gaping wide, baring all 50 teeth, salivating, hissing, and snarling, and every hair on their body stands up. That's it. They just remain paralyzed in that position until the threat backs off. If that doesn't work, the opossum would flat out faint, then fight. That's kind of what happens. They go into an uncontrolled coma. Their breathing will slow, they'll hang out their tongue, their face will be contorted into a death grimace, then lose control of all bodily functions simultaneously. These mammals are superior survivors. They've been on Earth longer than any other mammal. 72 million years ago they arose, remaining unchanged throughout the course of time. They're doing something right. But being the most primitive mammal comes with positive points. Turns out that their body temperature and metabolism is too low and slow to support viral replication. Distemper, West Nile, HIV, and rabies cannot occur in our harmless, nocturnal neighbors. We'll say so long to Heather.
Alright. This is Baby Glade, aka Gladiator. Now what gives it away is he's a baby. Two obvious factors, right? His size and his coloration. Juvenile gators have a lot of predators at this size, so they want to blend in with leaf litter. And as for their size, a gator is supposed to grow a foot a year, which leads us to believe Baby Glade's about 3 years old. And when a gator reaches 6 foot, or 6 years, is when they're considered to be out of the danger zone. Now let's take a look at Baby Glade's eyes and nose. We notice that they're situated at the top of his head, so even if he's almost fully submerged in water, he can still breathe. Gators also have a special membrane that goes over their eyes, kind of like built-in goggles. They can shut off their ears, and they also have a special structure that can go over their windpipe. So if they do decide to dive underwater, their lungs won't fill up. Let's see if we can give you that Florida smile. Alright. How many teeth do we think Baby Glade has in his mouth?
Between 40 and 80?
Yep, he has around 80-ish teeth in his mouth, and he actually hatched out with all of them. A gator can go through about 3,000 teeth in a lifetime, so if something's wrong with one of his teeth, he's just going to pop that out, and a new one's going to come right in its place. Now, do we know what these bony structures along his back are called?
Osteoderms?
Yes, they're called osteoderms. So he can absorb all that heat when he's out there sunning himself. Gators are cold-blooded, right? Which means their body temperature depends on the temperature of their surroundings. And if the gator gets too hot, they're either going to open their mouth to expel some of that heat or simply enter the water. Gators have oar-like tails which propel them in the water. And are we familiar with what a gator hole is?
That's where they lay their eggs.
Yeah. It's a deep depression the gator digs in the mud. We have 2 seasons here in Florida, wet and dry. So during that dry season, that gator hole will remain filled with water, not only protecting the gator, but other species of organisms, thus making them a keystone species. Now, do we know the cousin to the alligator?
The American crocodile?
The crocodile. Do we know the main difference?
The shape of the mouth?
Their snouts, right? Gators have more of a U-shaped snout, whereas crocodiles have a pointy V-shaped snout. Additionally, crocs are aggressive, gators are defensive. Crocs will pretty much come after you for no reason at all, but the only time you're going to get harmed by a gator is if you come between the mom gator and her nest, or if that gator has been fed by a human before. Gators have very tiny brains. They're not going to notice the difference between my hand or your hand. Additionally, you're not only endangering the lives of humans, but of that gator. If something were to happen, that gator would have to be euthanized, which is very sad. Now say baby Glade were to bite me right now, it's not necessarily the bite I'd be too worried about. It's what happens afterwards. Gators have very dirty mouths since they do not produce saliva, so I probably have to go to the doctors and get some antibiotics. Now baby Glade is with us because someone decided to go out to the Everglades, collect some eggs, and hatch them themselves, which is very illegal. So Fish and Wildlife found out and confiscated Glade and his siblings. We got Glade, and the rest went to Sawgrass Recreational Center. So I hope we learned some cool facts about baby Glade. This does conclude the end of the show. I want to thank you for coming out here and supporting us at Flamingo Gardens. We are a nonprofit organization, so we do have a donation box over there. Anything helps? All right, have a good day.
Thank you.
See, wasn't that a cool show?
Yeah, it was really cool.
No, to the camera.
That was a really cool show.
Honk walk. What time of hawk?
Look at this Harris hawk.
Isn't it pretty?
Yeah, they're all pretty. It's not native, is it? I don't think I've ever seen that one.
These ones we see on. You still think these are the that this one's the cutest? Like you said, like Calusa?
I don't remember what I was talking about.
You're saying these guys are the cutest with the little yellow beaks?
Yeah, maybe. I don't really.
God, that's a good shot of his feathers. This guy is. Oh, that's a barn owl.
Pretty. Got like one wing out.
Aha!
You got one eye open. Were you at a late night last night? You seeing double? Seeing double, dude?
Poor guy.
Close up. Right there.
Excuse me.
Look right up.
Oh, I see.
No, right here.
Over a little bit.
Oh my God! Oh, one eye is missing. It's,
Oh, is that what it is? It's
yeah, I
missing?
can see through this.
Oh, I thought he was just winking.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's a green one on.
Wow.
I feel sad for it.
There he goes. He's talking.
Were you with me? I feel like we saw that at what's that place?
Calusa, yeah. Calusa. Oh, and the barn. So this is the barn owl, right?
There's an injured eye.
Barn
Hey, buddy.
owl. Aw, it's cute.
This is a bored owl.
It's barn owl. This guy is Eastern Screecher. Where's the owl in this one?
One back there.
Cute.
It says there are 8 total. One on the right here.
See the owl with the three monitor owl? Look.
There's one right here.
Here's one right here. Look. Oh, wow, there's a lot. Yeah. And there's four up the two. Yeah, there's four more up top, way in the back.
I don't see the 4-way. Oh my god.
Yeah, 2 there, 1
It's a lot, darn.
Oh, 2 there.
See, I told you this is worth it. I told you this was worth it, son.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm just kind of tired. I kind of feel like sitting down for that show. Like,
Where's the Eastern Screech?
Oh yeah.
You should sit on it.
Oh really?
Where's the owl? Those are the ones you have by your house.
that's right. That's funny. My neighbors. I see these owls every day. Boring. Burrowing owls collect dog feces, put it by the entrance of their burrow, possibly to attract food. Oh.
Everyone knows what these are.
You can find ospreys around coastal lines. Look, it's the American kestrel. I've never even heard of an American kestrel. I thought that was a Neil Young album.
Here are the...
Is that a patch or a... Do you know, turkey vultures have a better sense of smell than black vultures? Grouse! Grouse! I have a fun fact. Did you know crows before hoes?
What's that invisible?
Really pretty. What is with your 20 bracelets on one hand? That's a wild peacock. Let's see if we can get him to do the plumage thing. We can't, right? Something we can do. Do it. Do the thing. You know, do the thing.
They're only gonna do that during mating courtships.
Do it. Just do it once. Real quick. Do the thing. The NBC thing. Alright, he's not cool.
Look, a baby tree.
Oh, cool.
And a mashed potato.
Yeah. Look, another baby Jesus lizard. It looks like some artist's interpretation of a lizard. It's like a lizard with flair. There's our favorite tabby again. I don't know if she's actually a tabby, but... Remember me? We visited before. Is it on clearance? Sun conures. those guys over there, the same thing. A white-eyed conure and a quacker parrot.
Wait, where am I going?
Goodbye, Flamingo Gardens.